be taking statement. And our first statement will come from Mr. Say Thompson, National Union Community Forest Management Body Chairperson.
Well, for this day today, I consider this as another important day for communities. Reason community is the owner and those who live in the forest. We have been a little bit confused in terms of what community benefit and how community benefit the forest resources. So for this time where FDA and her partners are coming to see how best community can understand and benefit from what they have or what they may enjoy as natural resources. We have been requesting, we have been seeking for strong support of the community where they will be part and parcel of the natural resource benefit sharing. That which commercial is not the only thing, but conservation must also take the lead in terms of how community benefit from the forest resources, how they maintain those ecosystems for the services they also enjoy. So on behalf of the community, we will take this time to join Forestry Development Authority, UNDP, so that the launch of today activities and program we found it to be important for our communities. We need strong support as UNDP is here through FDA to see how community will benefit from the natural resources. And today's launch is important to all community forests because we have more than 1 million hectares of community forests that some are in conservation, some are in commercial. So we feel that those communities that will benefit from this project will also extend to other communities in the near future. Thank you all.
The next speaker is Madam Loretta Adita Potkar, Chairperson, National Civil Society Council.
Let me recognize the platform guests. I want to say thank you to UNDP, FDA for inviting the National Civil Society Council to this very important project launch or inception workshop on the project title, Let's Go Green. Today we are happy to be here as the umbrella organization for all civil society organizations in Liberia. And we are also happy to note that civil society will be playing a key role in the implementation of this project. We want to say thank you for that. And we also look forward to see how coordination will be strengthened around this project as we implement. When I say coordination, there are other projects that are ongoing to avoid duplication. The council would like to participate in these different coordination activities to see how we work with our partners in terms of information dissemination on how we can express lessons learned and successes and challenges as we go along the project implementation. We also look forward to engaging or working along with the partners to conduct monitoring activities as the umbrella organization. And partners that are implementing this project, they are also members of the National Civil Society Council of Liberia. So we look forward to see how we can strengthen our engagement as we implement these project activities. Once again, I say thank you for inviting the National Civil Society Council of Liberia, and we can assure you of our full support in these different initiatives.
We very much look forward to working very closely with the new FDA management, with UNDP. I very much want to echo the call by Madame Loretta to have a close involvement in coordination by civil society organizations. It's a pity that Ministry of Agriculture and Environmental Protection Authority are not represented here today, because I think the implementation of this project really requires intersectorial coordination and, okay, let's try to have it during the implementation, even though they're not here during the launch. So you know that I talked to the converted here today that we know about the importance of forest and biodiversity for the global welfare of our one planet and of our one people. And unfortunately, in the past few years, we have not been very careful with that natural capital. And we have really wasted too much of these forests and biodiversity. And we have reached dramatic levels of biodiversity loss and forest loss all around the world, and also in Liberia, unfortunately. So this is now a moment where we have to act and where we have to act now. And we have really reached this moment where we also need to make sure that all of us have a clear understanding of what sustainable resource management means. This is about our natural capital. And this is what the economists say has to be treated as a real production factor. And I think this is also what FDA wants to do with these 4 C's, with conservation, commercial, carbon, and communities, to which the EU fully aligns to these principles. We need to see conservation of natural heritage and natural capital as from an economic and from a social perspective, and that's why it's important that the communities are represented here today. And this has to be seen from a light of biodiversity protection, but also just economic diversification and poverty reduction. It's about investing in the future and without losing sight of course, of the needs of today's populations, of the priorities and also the most urgent needs, but also making sure that we keep this natural capital for our children and for our grandchildren to come. So that is why it's important, it's a priority for the European Union to invest in projects such as this, Let's Go Green. These are fully aligned with our strategies. It's an important priority for us. You know that the EU wants to become the first carbon neutral continent by 2050. We have also shown that it is absolutely possible to decouple greenhouse gas emissions from economic development and economic growth, which makes that now we are growing economically, but we are decreasing our greenhouse gas emissions. So we are responsible for 8% of global greenhouse gas emissions in the world, which means that we need to work with our partners in the world to try to protect our planet together, because on our own, we're not going to be able to make it. For this, we want to have a very close and strong collaboration with FDA, with the new management. We're hopeful that this collaboration can be effective, can be integrated, that we have also a good coordination and good collaboration between conservation and commercial, and that we really try to make the most out of this project, that we try to advance also as quickly as possible, that we are not blocked by administrative bureaucratic holders and things that we have been experiencing in the past and that we don't want to experience anymore. So as I already said, it's also important that we work together in an intersectorial and multidisciplinary way to integrate forest and biodiversity into the other sectoral policies, in particular with those like on land use conversion, which will have an effect on forests and which are the primary drivers of deforestation. So I think that is why it's really important that we talk to each other and that we work together. We also know that the forestry policy is being revised, is being reconsidered. So we hope that there will be wide consultations and that these consultations will be taken into consideration into that forest policy revision. You know that the EU takes into account the role of agriculture into deforestation. We have now this EU deforestation-free products regulation because we also do not want to export our pollution. So we want to make sure that the products that we import do not lead to deforestation in our partners' countries. that is something that will be very important to take into account in Liberia, and it covers some of the products that Liberia may potentially export to the EU, and which also lead to, which we don't want them to contribute to forest degradation. So for this, here in Liberia, it's mainly cocoa, rubber, and timber, which are impacted by this EU deforestation-free products regulation. For that, we think that the certification and the traceability of VPA FLECT can provide a good basis on which to build this system of monitoring and of traceability. So for that, it's also important that we work across all of the projects together, that we can serve all of these purposes together of forest conservation, but also of sustainable management. So we need these holistic approaches, which are also, of course, fully in line with what we do here in Liberia as Team Europe. Team Europe is the EU and the EU member states here present, and I want to mention in particular Sweden, which has a very important forest conservation project too. So we obviously are going to absolutely work together. So I don't want to discuss in details the program that we are launching here today, because I think other speakers will do that. But I think it's important for me to mention the regional programs, because this is not just a standalone. It also fits into an entire regional portfolio of the EU of forestry conservation projects. So let me mention the PAP4 program. So that is the support program for the preservation of forest ecosystems in West Africa. And that covers 4 transboundary forest landscapes that cover also Liberia. And this program is now going to come to an end, but it will be followed by something which we call now Nature Africa Initiative. And that has an investment of 85 million euros for West Africa. It is, of course, fully aligned again with our EU Green Deal, and it identifies climate change and environmental degradation as an existential threat, not only for Europe, but also for the world. So this, again, through this Nature Africa, we want to support the biodiversity conservation in Africa and in a people-centered approach. So again, putting the communities at the heart. And we want to focus, again, like in this national program, on job creation, on improved security and sustainable livelihoods, while at the same time preserving the ecosystems and wildlife that is vital for each one of us. For this, Nature Africa, there are 2 phases. It will be really important for Liberia to perform during this first phase. Let me be very clear. If we don't perform in this first phase, we will not see a second phase. And that would be really a pity, because this forest is, I would say, the main asset, or one of the main assets of Liberia. So I would really recommend to all of us that we strongly work together to make the most out of this first phase of Nature Africa, that we reach tangible results. So just to come back also again on the Let's Go Green, let me finish with this. We want to give a particular attention to community forest and to the fact that there is a disconnect between logging activities in community forests and what the communities are capable for the moment of managing these logging companies and of getting real benefits from the logging, but also at the same time while putting forests aside for conservation. So that will be one of the main focus here of this Let's Go Green. It will be important in this conservation component that we look also at the conservation governance and management, at law enforcement, at biomonitoring, environmental awareness, infrastructures, and of course human-wildlife conflicts, community eco-guards, and FDA auxiliary program and FDA decentralization. So I think we have a lot to do. It's a very ambitious program. We're very proud of this program. It has, I think, taken us a while, to set it up, but we hope that now we're really ready to go and to work together on this ambitious program, but which we think is also crucial for Liberia's economic development, but also for its future sustainable resource management and for keeping the natural capital heritage intact for future generations. Thank you.
As you all are aware, our board is a new board. We happen to have had our first board meeting last week. And we look forward to the challenges of guiding the management of FDA as they go through the maze of trying to take care of the forestry sector. It is important for the board to be familiar, and so I'm thankful for the opportunity to be invited to be a part of this, because as we guide the management of FDA, it is important that we ourselves have a greater picture of the entire sector, the conservation sector, and the management of forestry, and so I'm happy that I can be here. Unfortunately, two of our board members, the Minister of Agriculture, who is also a member of our board, not here, but hopefully my presence here and I'll be able to take information from this meeting and translate to the Minister of Agriculture, who is also a member of the board. So I don't want to take much more time, but it's a pleasure to be here, and I can assure our partners of the maximum support from the board through the management of the FDA to the entire sector. And we will hopefully be able to get over some of the problems that the EU had spoke of in communications. And so prayerfully, we will not have many hurdles in trying to accomplish the goals of this project.
It's a pleasure to be here this morning to witness and participate in the launch of a very important program, Let Go Green, a project that is meant to internalize forestry governance in Liberia. I would like to take the opportunity to first commend the MD and the management of FDA for the leadership. I also like to recognize and commend the European Union for providing funding for this project. As UNDP, our role is to help connect the dots. We connect the dots by working with national institutions, civil society organizations, communities, to ensure that we work towards the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals. The SDGs were designed with the intention that without sustainability, which talks about forests and environment, we will not be able to achieve them. And the nexus between the SDGs and forests is very critical. And so a project of this kind that is supposed to help us forge our forwards and accelerate towards the achievement of the SDGs is just a great invention and intervention that we have to all support. We cannot succeed in this project without the coordination, without the cooperation, and without the collaboration. And we are happy to note that this project is just building on some other previous foundations and achievements that the Forestry Department, Authority, and the government have been able to foster. We've all recognized that climate change has a lot of impacts in national development. Now we see it as a mainstream issue cutting across all development sectors. The forestry and sectors of agriculture play a pivotal role in addressing or helping countries to address the impact of climate change. This project is just one of the projects that will be addressing part of the issues on climate change. It is a project that is going to affect livelihoods. It's a project that's supposed to help communities build resilience and forest resource governance and management. I would like to count on the leadership of FDA and civil society present here, all the other institutions here, to work together to collaborate and ensuring that this project is implemented to the fullest details that we have designed. We will assure you of our availability as UNDP. We will assure you of our competence and capabilities as UNDP to help you drive this project to a successful completion. And as the ambassador has alluded, our success of this phase one gives us some guarantees into consolidating some of the gains that we'll be able to make here. And so it is our responsibility to work together to preserve, conserve, and to ensure that Liberia's natural resources, forest resources, work for Liberians and serve Liberian development agenda. With these few words, I thank you very much and we look forward to a very impactful project implementation. I'm happy that we are all gathered here this morning, and it is a demonstration of our commitment to this process. And I want us to continue and sustain this momentum. It will be difficult, it will be hard. It's a project that is implemented in communities, difficult to reach places. But with our determination, with our commitment, we'll be able to make the needed impact that this project is supposed to address.
I think Europe has been one of the strongest supporters to our reform processes as we try to move our country forward. And we're always grateful for what you continue to do. Like I always said when I first got into office is that whatever we do must impact our people. And I think this project seems to be going in that direction. And so we will be watching. I'm going to assure you of our fullest support. Because if the lives of the people are not supported, the objectives we are trying to reach might not happen. Because as people's lives are affected, they go to places to see how they can survive. If the forest is to be maintained, those who are at the fringes of the forest lives must change. As the whole world begin to look at Liberia, I always say Liberia has what it has because it did practice sustainable forest management. If it did not, Liberia would not have the kind of cover it has. But like my ambassador said, it's upon all of our interest to keep that forest and make sure it's there for our children and our children's children. In order to do this, there are resources that are needed to help protect it, but there are also resources that are needed to help change the lives of our people. And we hope that our partners will begin to look at that. Like I always say, I hope the intervention here must be substantive and sustainable. Because if it's not substantive, obviously people will fall back. And sustainable in the sense that we must create an atmosphere where as we do this intervention, it has a continuity. Because if we do the intervention and it seems to have a limit, and then it dies off and things fall back, we'll come back to where we are. So my ambassador can assure you, and our partner here, we can assure you that we'll do our best to make sure that we implement the program as is stated in its documents. It's in all of our benefit to see the future better for all of us. But we also understand that Liberia is not the lower echelon. I think it's the 8th least poor nation in the world. And we need to change that paradigm. And we're looking for all of the means that we can do to change it. And we hope that as we do this program and as we go further to conserve the forests of Liberia, we must realize that Liberia forest is there because Liberians did do something right. And because of this, certain resources must be made available so that Liberia can then continue to carry that pathway and to develop its people and its nation. It is in all of our good interests, and can I assure you, our fullest support is in the program. Thank you so much.
This project, the Let Go Green, is focusing on supporting increased forest-based revenue and the livelihood for forest users and forest-friendly communities in the Gola and Greater Crown landscape in Liberia. The main objectives of the project launched today is to ensure that key stakeholders are aware of the project interventions and expected desired results related to improving natural resources governance and business environment for sustainable forest-based activities in Liberia. By the end of the implementation of this project, it is expected that the project will have achieved the following desirable results. Number one, cumulative reservation agreement development implemented to support sustainable livelihood and natural-based solutions in targeted organized forest communities. Number two, promote sustainable management of reduced impact community-based commercial logging based on best practices and guidance developed and piloted in targeted authorized forest community. Number three, resilient and diversified income and livelihood opportunities and business development of forest-related enterprise created strengthening. And the last one, mechanism to foster sustainable financing of local forest-based enterprises promoted for enhancing capacity of forest communities to be aware of carbon market opportunities to participate in carbon readiness activities. On this note, we'd like to thank the European Union for all of their support and dedication towards this project. We also thank the FDA for hosting this unique program. Thank you.
This project is meaningful to the FDA and to the entire nation, Liberia. One thing we seek to achieve is to go green already, when you are also thinking like that. For one reason, the impact of going green is not for one person. It's to save our lives and the life of others. And in so doing, one thing we are taking key, and the presentation also captured well, is the community benefit. I listened to the presenter when he talked about 10,000 forest users to benefit from this project. That target is huge. And if we effect that implementation, we will achieve much. So we are asking all of you, our partners. Remember, we're talking about less than $5 million for 10,000 people. So if you do a right calculation, if they are to receive it directly, somebody will be having $400 and change. But then how we can implement the project, how we can move into it to see to it that besides donors' money, our own involvement can make it better for us. Those are things that we should pass on to the people so that they will know that besides the little thing they will receive to work with, there's need for them to put themselves in it, that what is needed for our country will be done properly. So we want to say thank you to you, partners. We are looking up to you to receiving more because it's about all of us. While we play our role, you play a role to get the country green and the world green. So we want to say thank you to the implementers, our own ground workers who are from the community level. We want to say thank you to all of you and thank you to the participants today and thank you to FDA as well. Thank you. God bless you all.